Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today feels a little personal for me because this topic reminds me of how I used to speak English years ago. I had ideas in my head, feelings in my heart, but what came out of my mouth were very short sentences. I sounded cold, even when I wasn't.
I know exactly what you mean. I remember thinking, why do I sound like a robot? I knew vocabulary, I knew grammar, but my English felt empty, short, like I was stopping every 2 seconds.
And it's frustrating, right? You want to connect with people, you want to explain yourself, but your sentences just end too early. So today we're talking about how to stop speaking in short sentences and how connectors can completely change the way you sound.
Yes, because connectors are not just grammar tools, they're emotional tools. They help you sound human, thoughtful, and confident. And honestly, once you learn a few, everything starts to flow more naturally.
If this topic speaks to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue making these episodes.
And don't forget, there's a PDF with the full conversation waiting for you. You can read it, listen again, and practice at your own pace.
All right, let's get to it.
Let me ask you something, Sophie. Do you remember a moment when you realized your short sentences were a real problem, not just a small mistake?
I do, actually. I was at a dinner with international colleagues and everyone was sharing stories. When it was my turn, I said things like, I work a lot. I like my job. It's stressful. And then I stopped. Inside, I had so much more to say, but I didn't know how to connect my thoughts, so I just ended everything early.
That feeling is so familiar. I had a similar experience during a video call at work. My boss asked for my opinion, and I said, I think it's good, it can work. Then silence. I sounded unsure, even though I had strong reasons. The problem wasn't ideas, it was missing connectors.
Exactly. And I think many learners believe they need advanced words to sound fluent. But the truth is, simple connectors change everything. Words like because, so, but, or even though can turn short sentences into real thoughts.
I agree. For example, instead of saying, I was tired, I went out, you can say, I was tired, but I went out because I needed fresh air. It's the same vocabulary, but the feeling is completely different.
And you sound more honest, too. One connector I love is actually. When you say, I was nervous, it's fine. But when you say, I was nervous, actually, because it was my first time, it sounds more natural and more personal.
That's a great one. Actually is useful when you want to correct yourself or add truth. Another simple but powerful connector is so. Many learners stop before using it. They say, I was busy, I didn't call. But I was busy, so I didn't call sounds complete.
Yes, and it helps the listener follow your thinking. I used to worry about making long sentences, but connectors don't make sentences confusing. They make them clear. What about you, Leo? Was there a connector that changed things for you?
Definitely even though. Before, I avoided it because it felt difficult. But once I started using it, my English sounded more balanced. For example, even though I was scared, I spoke in the meeting. That sentence shows fear and courage at the same time.
I love that, because real life is like that. We feel two things at once. Short sentences don't show that complexity. Connectors help you show contrast, like but or even though.
Exactly. And another everyday expression I use a lot is that's why. It's simple but strong. I practice every day. That's why I feel more confident. You're not just speaking, you're explaining your life.
And listeners feel closer to you. When I hear someone explain why, I feel like I understand them. By the way, this is important for relationships too, not just English learning.
So true. Short sentences can sound cold, even when you're warm inside. Adding connectors adds emotion. It's like giving your sentences a bridge instead of leaving gaps.
I love that image, a bridge. And the good news is you don't need many connectors. Just a few, used again and again, can change your speaking style.
And practice doesn't mean memorizing long lists. It means noticing chances to connect ideas. When you say one sentence, ask yourself, can I add why, contrast, or result?
That simple question helped me a lot.
I stopped rushing to finish. I gave myself permission to continue speaking.
And that's where confidence starts, not from perfect grammar, but from finishing your thoughts.
What you said about finishing your thoughts really stayed with me. For a long time, I stopped speaking because I thought my sentence was enough. But honestly, it wasn't enough for me. I felt like I was hiding parts of myself every time I stopped too early.
I felt the same way too, especially in emotional conversations. I remember talking to a close friend and saying, "I'm fine." That was it. But I wasn't fine. When I learned to say, "I'm fine, but I feel tired lately," the conversation changed completely.
That's such a good example. The connector but is small, yet it opens the door to honesty. It tells the listener, wait, there's more. And people usually want to hear that more.
Exactly. Another connector that helped me a lot was, for example, before I made general statements like, "My job is stressful." People nodded, but the connection was weak. When I added, for example, "I have meetings late at night," suddenly my words had life.
Yes, for example, is powerful because it makes things real. And it's very friendly English. You don't sound academic, you sound human. I started using it when I noticed native speakers do it all the time without thinking.
And it also gives you time. When you say, for example, your brain relaxes for a second and finds the next idea. That's something learners don't talk about enough.
That pause is so important. Another expression that helped me is "the thing is." When I say, "the thing is, I didn't have time," it feels softer and more natural than a direct explanation.
I love that one. The thing is prepares the listener. It's like saying, "Please listen, this matters to me." It also helps when you feel nervous because it slows you down.
And slowing down is not a bad thing. Many learners think fluency means speed, but fluency is flow. Connectors create flow. Without them, English sounds like separate blocks.
That's true. I also noticed something emotional. When I used short sentences, people interrupted me more. But when I connected ideas, people listened longer. Have you experienced that?
Yes, very clearly. When your sentences connect, people feel you're going somewhere. They wait. That feeling changed how I saw myself as a speaker.
Same here. I remember a moment at work when I said, "I disagree because the timing is risky, and that's why we should wait." It wasn't perfect, but it was connected, and people respected it.
That's such a confidence boost. And notice, you didn't use difficult words, just because and that's why. These are basic everyday connectors, but they carry strong meaning.
Exactly. I think learners sometimes skip because it feels too simple. But simple doesn't mean weak. Simple means clear.
I agree. Another connector I want to mention is "at the same time." I use it when I feel mixed emotions, like I'm excited, but at the same time I'm scared. That sentence feels very real.
That's a great one, and it teaches something important. You don't need perfect sentences. You need honest ones. Connectors help you show real life, not textbook life.
Well said. Can I ask you something? Did you ever feel afraid of making mistakes when using longer sentences?
All the time. I was scared of getting lost in my own sentence. But then I realized something. If I make a small mistake in a long connected sentence, people still understand me. But when I speak in short sentences, even perfect ones, people don't feel me.
That's such an important point. Understanding is not just grammar, it's emotion, and connectors carry emotion.
Yes, and practice can be simple. After you say one sentence, add one connector. Just one. That habit slowly changes everything.
I used to practice alone by answering questions out loud. I would ask myself, "How was your day?" Then I forced myself to use because or but. It felt strange at first, but it worked.
That's a great idea. I practice during walks. I talk to myself, connecting thoughts. It helped me speak more naturally with others later.
And over time, connectors stop feeling like tools. They become part of how you think in English.
Exactly. You stop translating. You start flowing.
And that's when English becomes yours, not just something you study.
Something you said earlier about English becoming yours really connects with me. When I stopped using only short sentences, I felt like I finally had space in the language. Before that, English felt like a small room with no windows.
I love that image. For me, short sentences felt like closing doors too quickly. I would speak, then stop, even when the other person was waiting. Once I started using connectors, I noticed people leaned in more, like they were truly listening.
Yes, and that reaction changes your confidence. One moment that stayed with me was talking to a new teammate. I said, "I'm still learning, so please tell me if something is unclear." That "so" made me sound open instead of insecure.
That's such a good example. Without "so," it might sound defensive. With it, you sound honest and calm. Another connector I started using more is because of that. It helps when you want to show results over time.
Right, like saying, "I practice speaking every day, and because of that, I feel more relaxed now." It shows progress, not just action.
Exactly. And it helps you tell a story, even a small one. I think adults really want that. We don't just want to give information. We want to share experience.
That's very true, and sharing experience is emotional. I remember telling my partner, "I'm quiet in groups, not because I don't care, but because I'm thinking." That sentence changed how they saw me.
Wow, that's powerful. And you couldn't say that with short sentences. You needed connectors to protect the meaning of your feelings.
Yes, and that's why this topic is not just about English. It's about being seen. When learners only use short sentences, parts of them stay invisible.
I agree completely. Another expression that helped me feel more natural is "on the other hand." I use it when I want to show two sides without sounding confused.
That's a good one, and it's still very B1, B2 friendly. For example, "I like working from home. On the other hand, I miss people." That's clear and balanced.
And balanced English sounds mature. It sounds like an adult speaking, not a student answering a test.
Exactly. I think many adults feel frustrated because their English doesn't match their personality. Connectors help close that gap.
Yes, and they also reduce pressure. When you know how to continue a sentence, you don't panic after the first idea.
That panic is real. I used to rush to finish, afraid I would lose control. But connectors gave me direction. They showed me where to go next.
And mistakes became less scary. When you're focused on meaning, not perfection, small grammar errors don't stop you.
Absolutely. I also noticed that when I used connectors, I started thinking in longer thoughts, even before speaking.
That's such an important shift. English stops being a list of words and becomes a flow of ideas.
Let me ask you something. If someone listening right now feels stuck with short sentences, what would you tell them to start with today?
I would tell them to choose just 3 connectors, maybe because, but, and so. Use them again and again in daily speech. Don't try to sound smart. Try to sound real.
That's great advice. I would add one more thing. After you speak, don't stop immediately. Give yourself permission to continue. Silence doesn't mean failure.
That permission is everything. Many adults never give it to themselves.
And once they do, their English opens up.
Slowly, naturally, and honestly. I feel like this is a good moment to talk about something deeper. Short sentences are not only a language habit, they're often an emotional habit. Many adults learn to stay quiet, to not take too much space, especially in another language.
That's so true. I remember feeling like I had to earn the right to speak more, as if longer sentences were only for people with perfect English. But that belief kept me small.
Yes, and English becomes a place where you hide instead of express. When I realized that, I started asking myself a simple question. What do I really want to say next? Connectors helped me answer that.
Haha, I love that question. For me, learning connectors felt like learning permission words. Words that say, you can continue, you can explain, you can feel.
That's beautiful. And when you continue, something interesting happens. People respond to you differently. They ask questions. They care more.
I noticed that too. Conversations stopped feeling like interviews. They became shared moments. And that happened because I connected ideas instead of dropping them.
Another thing I want to say is this: you don't need to speak perfectly to speak fully. Many listeners worry about grammar, but what people remember is how you made them feel.
Exactly. And connectors shape feeling. When you say, I was late because my child was sick, people understand you. When you say only, I was late, they judge or guess.
That example is so real. English without connectors leaves too much empty space, and in that space, misunderstandings grow.
Yes, and the good news is change can start today. You don't need a course or a new book. You need awareness.
Awareness and kindness to yourself. When you catch yourself stopping too early, don't get angry. Just add one more sentence.
Or one connector. Even one changes the direction of your speech.
And over time, those small changes build a new habit, a habit of sharing more of yourself.
That's when English becomes a bridge, not a wall.
I really hope listeners feel encouraged after this conversation, not pressured, but invited.
Invited to speak more, explain more, and trust their voice.
Because your thoughts matter, even in simple English.
Especially in simple English.
Thank you for being here with us today. If this episode helped you, remember to like the video and subscribe.
And don't forget to download the PDF with the full conversation so you can practice and reflect.
Until next time, keep speaking and don't stop too soon.
Let your sentences breathe.